Welcome back to the vlog, guys. This one is going to be a little bit different because we are playing a tournament. We make a pretty sick run, so I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Let's get right into the video. We are in the tournament streets today. That's right. We are playing a $300 Saturday deep stack. Let's get it going. The first hand, the blinds are 500, 1,000. We have 30,000 in our stack, and we look down at ace 10 offsuit in the cutoff. I raise it up to 2,000, and we get looked up by the big blind now, so we're going to go heads up to a flop, which is 9-9 deuce with 2 diamonds. We should have the best hand here a lot on this board, but when the big blind checks it over to me, I decide to check it back here. We could bet small sometimes for protection, but I take the more passive route and check it back. The turn card now is the 5 of spades. There's no doubt that this board is going to favor the big blind more than me. They're going to have plenty more 9x combos. We can still have some of those, but the big blind is going to have more in their range. I think the big blind recognizes that, so they bet out for 5,000. Like I mentioned on the flop, I think we're going to have the best hand here a lot. There's also 2 flush draws on board, 2 diamonds, 2 spades, and there's plenty of straight draws as well. 8-7, 8-6, 7-6, 3-4, 6-4. There's a countless amount of hands that a big blind could be bluffing with here. So ace 10 high, I think, is a mandatory call here on the turn, especially with no spade or diamond in our hand, making it more likely that our opponent would have a draw of some sort. So I stick in the call. The river card is a perfect brick. It's the deuce of hearts. All the draws miss, and it makes it less likely our opponent will have pocket deuces, which is a great sight to see. But still, the big blind bets out for 10,000. And now we're in a spot here with ace high. They're basically only repping a 9. They can have some deuce X that want to bet the turn, but it's most of the time just going to be a 9. And like I mentioned on the turn, there was 2 flush draws and a countless amount of straight draws. We don't have either of the suits in our hand. I think that there's way too many bluffs for us to fold here. So I stick in the call, and sure enough, she shows king 10 offsuit for just king high. We're going to show down our ace high and win the first pot of the tournament. Always feels nice to make an ace high call and be correct. Moving on to the next level of the tournament, the blinds are 1,000, 1,500, and we have ace jack in the cutoff. The hijack raises it up to 4,500, which is 3x the amount of the big blind. We started with about 35,000 in our stack, which is good for about 23 big blinds. Facing a bigger raise from the hijack in the cutoff, absolutely going to rip the ace jack in there. So that's what I do. I go all in, and the action folds back around to the hijack, and he sticks in the chips as well. Not really too happy to see that, but we are up against pocket 10s. So we're going to have to win a flip here in order to stay alive in this tournament. Off to a run out we go. The flop comes king, queen, 9 with 2 spades. We kind of flip outs. I need a 10 for a straight, and now he needs a jack for a straight. So we need a 10 or an ace to stay alive. The turn card now is the queen of spades. Now we can't hit a 10, but we can hit a king to counterfeit his 2 pairs. So an ace or a king on the river. The river card is the king of hearts. We counterfeit the pocket 10s, winning a flip the fun way, and we get the full double up. Absolutely love to see it. You got to win flips to win tournaments, and that's what we just did. Hopefully we can capitalize and keep it going. Look down at 10-8 of spades in the hijack. I raise it up to 3,000, and we get looked up by the cutoff player as well as the big blind. So we're going to go in between 2 opponents to a flop, which is amazing for us. It's 10-8 deuce rainbow. We flop a very disguised top 2 pair. When the big blind checks to me, I think I could either check or bet small here. It's a rainbow board, and we also have the backdoor spade draw to go along. If I bet here, we could definitely get called by straight draws like queen jack, jack 9, 9 7, but we kind of have this board locked up. Having both an 8 and a 10 in our hand is going to make it less likely that our opponent's connected with this board. So I decided to go for the slow play and check it over to the cutoff, but unfortunately they check it back. So now to the turn card, which is the queen of spades, improves us to a flush draw to go along with our 2 pair. A hand like jack 9 now has us beat, making a straight. The big blind now bets out for 7,000, and we could either call or raise here. I think if we didn't have the spade draw to go along, I would definitely stick in the raise, but we have that extra equity, we have that backup, so I am going to continue the slow play, maybe get the cutoff to come along as well. So I just stick in the call, but the cutoff gets out of the way. So we're going to go heads up to a river, hoping to squeeze some more value out of the big blind. River card is a brick, 5 of diamonds, and now the big blind decides to bet out for 10,000. A great sight to see. As I'm watching this hand back, I was wondering if it's a little bit too thin to go for a raise here. We have 2 pair. Obviously, we're still beat by a few hands. They could have a straight, a set, a bigger 2 pair. I think raising or calling is fine depending on the player type. If they're more of a calling station, I would definitely raise for value here. If they're a bit tighter, I would probably lean towards a call. In the moment, I did decide to go for a raise, and it was a very small raise, only to 23,500. I think looking back at this, it's definitely a marginal spot. If we get called, we could still be beat by a hand like queen 5, queen 8, queen deuce, but it's also fine. You could definitely get called by queen jack, king queen, hands like that. So I raise it up, but unfortunately they put in the fold. Still taking down a nice pot, and our stack is building in the right direction. It's very important in tournaments that you just keep picking up blinds, picking up small pots, and doing everything you can to keep building up your stack, because as the blinds go up, stacks get shorter, and we have started this tournament very nicely. We're going to hop straight into the next one. There was a large open size. I was out of position with pocket queens. I ripped it all in, and they called with ace jack. We are miles ahead. We are going off to a run out here. The flop comes 9-8-5 with 2 spades. They don't have spades, they have clubs, so it's looking great for us. We need to dodge 3 outs. Turn card is the 3 of diamonds, and the river is the deuce of clubs. We win a massive pot, almost doubling our stack. Absolutely incredible start to this tournament. Feeling good with where we are. Now we have a big stack, and we can start to bully around the other stacks. We look down at pocket fives. The blinds have increased to 2,000. 3,000. Just a note to mention, there is always a big blind ante on, so the big blind puts in 3,000 as the ante for the entire table. We have pocket fives here in the hijack. I raise it up to 7,000, and we get looked up by the big blind. So we're going to go heads up in position to a flop, which is 10-9-7 rainbow. Not a great hand to see with our pocket fives. It's definitely going to favor the big blind a little bit more, as they're going to have all the offsuit combos for 2 pairs and straights. So when they check it over to me, I decide to check it back and see a turn card, which is a wonderful looking 5 of spades. We improve to a set on the turn. The big blind checks it over to me. There's plenty of draws we could get value from. 19,000 in the pot, and I decide to go a little over half pot for 10,000. There's a large amount of hands we could get called by here. Any 10, any 9 is going to call. Most likely an 8, a flush draw, or even like a sticky 7 here. So there's a lot of hands that could call us here, and sure enough, the big blind does stick in the call. The pot is brewing, and we're off to a river card. River card is the 9 of clubs, improving us to a full house. And the reason this is a really good card is because if I was betting the turn with a bluff, this definitely is a brick. And it might induce the big blind to call a little bit lighter with a 10, or maybe they had a 9 and they improved to trips. The big blind checks it over to me once again. Now we have to figure out how big we want to bet here. If we had a bluff on the river here, we'd probably want to bet pretty big and get maximum fold equity. We want to put our opponent in a polarizing spot here. So there's 39,000 in the pot, and I bet nearly that for 37,000. Our opponent now goes deep into the tank. They look like they're in a tough spot with a 10, maybe a 7. But after a little while, they end on a decision to stick in the call. We show them the boat, and they muck their cards. A perfect result for that hand, winning a 113,000 chip pot. That's nearly 4 starting stacks in one pot. We are growing our stack, and we're narrowing it down nearly to the final table here. If you guys are looking for a place to play online poker, you don't have the time, or you don't have a casino near you, come play with me on Club GG. You can play from anywhere in the world, 24/7 cash games and tournaments. I play on there all the time. Amazing action. Use my code GILJACK for a deposit bonus. Now let's get back into the vlog. In the next hand, we look down at pocket 8s in the cutoff. 260,000 in our stack. We are one of the biggest stacks in the tournament. I raise it up to 7,000, and our buddy Joey on the button decides to go for the 3-bet to 18,000. Never going to be mucking pocket 8s here, so I stick in the call, and we're going to be playing a 3-bet pot out of position. So let's go to the flop, which comes King 7-5 rainbow. 1 overcard to our 8. I don't think I would ever lead in a situation like this, so I check it over to the button, and Joey now bets out for 11,000. 1/4 the size of the pot. That's basically what I would expect him to do on this board. Never going to be folding the flop here with a pair and a couple of backdoor straight draws. I think we're still going to have the best hand here some portion of the time. He could have ace queen, ace jack, queen jack, queen 10. There's plenty of 3-bets that don't connect with this board. So I stick in the call, and we're going to have to evaluate a turn card. The turn now comes the 5 of diamonds. It shouldn't change anything about the board. Definitely improves the strength of our hand, having no more overcards come out on the turn. So I check it over to Joey, and he pretty quickly checks it back now. This makes me a little bit more confident that we have the best hand. He could still hold a hand like pocket queens through pocket 9s. Now the river card comes the jack of spades. Not a great card to see because now we lose to a hand like ace jack or queen jack. So I check it now over to Joey. He decides to put out a bet now for 21,000. It's a third the size of the pot, and the action is on me. His story isn't really making too much sense here. He would definitely bet a hand like ace king, king queen, or pocket aces on the turn, and I don't really think he's going to be value betting a jack here on the river. It is possible he could have a hand like pocket kings that checks the turn, and pocket jacks. Both have full houses, have us crushed, obviously. But I think he still has a lot of suited aces, ace queen, ace 10, ace 9, ace 8. And this bet just seems really weak on the river here. So after a lot of thinking, I decide to stick in the call. He says that you are good. I show him pocket 8s, and sure enough, he shows us ace 10 for just ace high. He was trying to buy it on the river there, but we caught him bluffing. All of our decision making has been on point so far in this tournament, and our stack is building. We are off to the final table here. There's 49 entries, and there's 9 of us left. $4,500 for first place. We're going to be going on to the Poker House live stream, so the remainder of this video will be the live stream footage. Let's get a look at the final table stacks.
Chip stacks to start this tournament. We've got Brady up at the top with 349,000. Gil, 347.
And there you see we are second in chips, basically tied for first. Only 5 players are going to make money, so we're going to have to battle still. Let's get into the first hand. It's about a half hour before we play our first notable hand. We have King Jack of clubs in the under the gun +2 position. The blinds are 3K, 6K, 6K, so I raise it up to 12,000. And we get looked up by Brady on the button and Shane in the big blind. We're off to a flop now, which comes Jack 9 5 rainbow. Great for our hand. We flop top pair with a good kicker. When Shane checks it over to me, I have a decision to check or bet. I think my range would prefer a check, especially at a position to Brady. So in the moment, that's what I decide to do. I check it over to Brady, and he decides to go for a bet now of 18,000. The action quickly gets over to Shane, and he decides to go all in for 92,000. Now, this is a really weird spot for me. We have a very strong hand on this board, and we have under-repped it so far by checking the flop. It seems like we're going to have Shane beat a lot. He can definitely shove a hand like 10-8, Queen 10, or definitely worse Jack X, like Queen Jack, Jack 10. That being said, we still have to give him credit for a couple of strong hands, like Pocket 5s, Jack 9, and 9-5 suited. Also strong one-pair hands like King Jack and Ace Jack. You guys can see on the screen that he does in fact have one of those hands, Ace Jack. He has us absolutely crushed, but in the moment, I felt that my hand has been under-repped. I felt like top pair with a King Kicker is going to be the best hand here a lot against the big blind. Brady sitting behind us is not ideal, but in the moment, I decided to put in the call. And you can see Brady has an open-ended straight draw. He's not going to go anywhere. He sticks in the call as well. So now this is a really awkward spot. When Brady puts in the call, I'm not sure if I have the best or worst hand. There's definitely plenty of draws out there that he could have, like 10-8 or Queen 10. But he could still have a hand like Ace Jack that has us beat. But we're going to go off to a turn card, which is the 4 of hearts. I decide to start with a check, and Brady decides to check it back. River card, 5 of spades. It goes check, check once again. And everybody turns over their cards, and we are going to lose to Shane's Ace Jack. He gets the triple up. Kind of a weird hand there. Let me know if you guys would have put in the call there in the comments. We lose a decent chunk of our stack, but we are still going to battle. In the next hand, it folds to us in under the gun +1. We look down at Ace Queen offsuit and raise it up to 12,000. Our buddy Joey is a short stack right to our left. He decides to go all in for 59,000 and folds back around to me. Not going to fold Ace Queen. I put in the call, and we can see that we have him crushed. He has Ace Jack. We're going to go off to a run out. The flop comes Jack 3 5. He hits his Jack, a 3-outer. We're going to need a queen and a queen only to win this pot. The turn card comes the King of Hearts, giving us another out. A 10 would give us Broadway. The river card, unfortunately, is the Deuce of Clubs. We brick out, and Joey finds a sec out here. So 0 for 2 here at the final table, but that's okay. It wasn't a massive pot. We got to shake it off, stay focused, and keep grinding. The blinds have increased to 4,000, 8,000. In this one, Laura's in the hijack, and she decides to raise it up to 20K. We look down at Ace 9 of diamonds in the cutoff. I think going for a call or a raise here is totally fine. But in the moment, I decided to stick in the call. And you can see Joey has pocket 8s on the button. Surprisingly, he folds. With his stack size, a little surprising to see that fold. But the action gets around to Brady with 7s in the big blind. He's not going to go anywhere. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop. We are in position, and the flop comes down pretty nice for us. 9-6 deuce with 2 diamonds. We flop top pair, top kicker, and the ace high flush draw. What a dream flop. The action is going to quickly check around to me. Sitting with a very strong hand, we want to build this pot. So I bet out for 27,000, and the action gets over to Brady. You can see he has pocket 7s, and he decides to stick in the call. Laura gets out of the way, so we're going to go heads up to a turn card. The turn card improves us to the nuts. It's the 10 of diamonds. We have the best possible hand. Like I would expect, Brady checks it over to me, and now we have a decision. We have the nuts, but we don't want to scare our opponent off here. We have about 170,000 in our stack with 126 in the pot. So I think the best option right here is to bet really small. Try to keep our opponent around with maybe a 1 diamond hand, a 9, a 10. Then we can set up a nice bet on the river depending on what it brings. So that's the plan I make in the moment. I bet around a quarter the size of the pot for 35,000. Pocket 7s with no diamond is quite an ambitious call here, but Brady doesn't care. He doesn't believe me. He decides to stick in the call, getting a really good price, and we're going to see a river card, which is a wild one. It's the 7 of spades. Brady drills trips on the river, and he checks it over to me. Now, it's a really wet board. Any 8's going to make a straight, and there's a flush. So, a set isn't feeling that good here for him. But for me, in my eyes, it's possible that he could have a lower flush. It's possible he could have 2 pair or a straight. So, I'm going to stick to my plan that I was going with on the turn and go all in on the river. That's what I do. I told the dealer that I am all in. 134,000 chips are in the middle, and Brady is in the tank. That is quite a crazy river. What a weird spot for him. He's beat by an 8 and he's beat by a flush, but he beats my bluffs. And I think we chose a perfect size on the turn to set up a nice looking jam on the river. In the end, he decides to stick in the call. We get the value with the nuts. We show him, and he mucks his cards. We win a 464,000 chip pot. On the final table, we are now chip leading. Let's keep the ball rolling. Now there's 8 players left, and there's definitely some short stacks. Being the chip leader now, we can apply a lot of ICM pressure. Only 5 players get paid, and people are going to want to fold till the money. So now we got to go to work. We're in the hijack with king, queen off and raise it up to 16,000. Brady decides to make an ambitious call in the small blind with queen deuce suited. Dory comes along as well in the big blind. Going to a queen high flop, which is queen 6-5, a rainbow, a perfect flop for our hand. And Brady goes all in for 68,000 first to act. Dory gets out of the way and a snap call from me. We have him absolutely crushed. We just need to dodge a deuce. Let's go to a run out. The turn card is the 8 of spades. The river card is the 5 of hearts. We knock Brady out of this tournament and chipping up in our stack down to 7 players. Let's go. Moving on to the next hand, Dory opens it up from the +1 to 20,000. And I'm in the small blind with ace-5 offsuit. Now, I just mentioned, being a big stack, there's 7 players left. That's 2 people away from making money. We want to apply a lot of ICM pressure. We have a big stack, so we can afford to push people around and consistently pick up pots that don't belong to us. Ace-5 offsuit in the small blind here, facing a raise from early position, is definitely a fold almost 100% of the time. But when you're picking your 3-bet bluffs under ICM and late in the tournament, you want to have an ace or a king in your hand. Typically, you want to use the suited wheel aces like ace deuce through ace-5 suited. In high ICM situations, we can definitely get a little bit out of line, and that's exactly what I do here. Dory made it 20,000. We're going to go for a 3-bet bluff. I make it 75,000, and you can see Dory has ace-6 suited. That's definitely not going to call our raise. She gets out of the way, and we take down a nice pot. We are chip leading with 560,000. Let's go for 56 big blinds. We have over double what second place has. We are in an amazing spot to get a score in this tournament. After we come back from break, it looks like the graphics changed a little bit, but Dory raises it up from the +1 to 30,000. Playing 7-handed though, the under the gun +1 is technically the low jack, so I'm going to refer to it as the low jack going forward. But she raises it up to 30K, and we have ace-10 offsuit in the small blind. It's a pretty interesting spot here. She raised off of about 14.5 big blinds, and ace-10 is definitely going to be ahead of a large portion of her range. She's going to have a lot of suited broadways and worse ace-X that we can beat, as well as a few pocket pairs that we're flipping against. Obviously, we lose to bigger ace-X like ace-king, ace-queen, as well as 10s through aces. But I think she's going to have plenty of hands that we can beat, so I decide to put max pressure on as well and go all in, covering Joey in the big blind as well. And you can see that he has the same exact hand as me, ace-10 suited. With only 6 big blinds, it's pretty tough to let this one go, so he sticks in the call. And Dory's sitting with pocket 8s. She puts in the call as well. So this is not really great for us because me and Joey are holding each other's outs. But we're going to have to try and chop up this pot and take Dory out of this tournament. Everybody tables their cards, and we're going to go off to a run out. Dory's in a good spot to find a double up here. The flop comes queen, queen, 5 with 2 spades. No luck for us. The turn card comes the 9 of hearts. Gives us one more out. A 9 on the river would counterfeit Dory's 2 pair, and giving me and Joey ace high to win the hand. We need an ace 10 or 9 to win this hand, and the river card is the 9 of diamonds. We counterfeit the pocket 8s. And Joey and I are going to take down this pot, eliminating Dory from the tournament, and we are now down to 6 players. Sitting on the stone bubble here, the min cash is pretty good too. The buy-in was 300, min cash being 1348. That's a pretty sizable cash for most tournaments. Laura's in the cutoff with 13 big blinds, and she decides to go all in. We are on the button with ace-9 offsuit, another pretty dicey spot, but kind of a similar situation that I mentioned earlier with Dory. I think that they're going to have a lot of suited broadways and worse ace-X. I think it's about a 50-50 flip if we are ahead or behind. In the moment, I decided to gamble, put in the call. Everybody else gets out of the way, and we can see that we are not in good shape up against pocket jacks. So we're going to have to find an ace here to win this hand. The flop comes jack 9-4. Never mind. We're basically drawing dead. Turn queen, river 8. Laura's going to get a double up here, and our stack takes a small hit, but we are still a massive chip leader. Stone bubble play here. We are applying a lot of pressure, and in this one, Zach is in the hijack with 8 bigs, pocket 10s. He puts it all in, and we are in the big blind now with a suited ace 7. For 7 more big blinds, we are not going to be folding. So I stick in the call, and once again, we are behind pocket tens. We're going to need an ace to knock out Zach and get into the money. Let's go off to a run out. The flop is ace, 9, deuce. We spike the ace. Pocket tens is drawing to 2 outs. Turn card is the jack of spades. No 10 on the river, and everybody cashes the tournament. The river card is the 4 of hearts. We eliminate Zach, and we are down to 5 players. A min cash of 1348 with over 4,500 for first place. Everybody's a little bit more relaxed now that they cashed the tournament. Still as the big stack here, we are going to put on the pressure. Putting chips in the middle, fighting for our tournament life. Joey's in the hijack, and he goes all in for 8 big blinds with king 7. We end up in the big blind with an ace, not a great kicker. But we are going to put in the call against Joey. He's going to have plenty of hands that we were ahead of. Sure enough, he shows king 7, and we're off to another run out. There's going to be a lot of all-ins. That is how tournaments go. So let's see what happens. The flop comes ace high. Joey is basically drawing dead, but the turn card actually gives him some outs. It's the king of hearts. He's going to need to hit a king or a non-heart 7 on the river. River card 5 of spades, and Joey's knocked out of this tournament. Good game to my buddy Joey. He snuck in the money there with 8 bigs, and we are down to 4 players in this tournament. 840,000 in our stack. The blinds have increased to 5,000, 10,000 with the 10,000 big blind Annie. We have Jack 10 suited in the small blind, and Shane is in the big blind with about 16 big blinds. Our best all-ins here are going to be pocket pairs, suited broadways, and ace X. Jack 10 suited falls into that category, so I decide to go all in, and Shane has ace 7. He decides to stick in the call. We're basically flipping here with 47% equity, so let's go off to a run out. If we win this pot, we are in an incredible position to win this tournament. Can we find a way to win? The flop comes ace 6 4. That's going to be tough. We go from 47% equity to 8%. We're going to need to hit a runner, 2 pair, flush, or straight. But the turn card 3 of diamonds eliminates all backdoor opportunity for us. We are drawing dead, river card 10 of hearts. And Shane's going to get a full double up there. Not a great result, but we are still in a decent chip lead. We're just going to have to do a little bit more battling. Shortly after that, Johnny the short stack gets all in against Laura's ace queen. And ace queen's going to hold, so we are down to the final 3. We have secured $1,838. We are still a chip leader. You can see there we have 710,000 and second place being 400,000. We're in the small blind with Jack 8 offsuit. We are not going to be folding a lot of hands from the small blind, and we are going to be doing a lot of limping as the chip leader. So Jack 8 off is going to fall into that category. I put in the extra 5,000, and Shane checks his option with queen deuce. The flop comes Jack high, Jack 6 deuce with 2 spades. First to act with top pair, I'm going to put out a small bet. 15,000 is the price, and Shane comes along with bottom pair. The turn now is the jack of hearts, and proving us to trips. We absolutely love to see it, and now the decision is to check or bet. We have a very nutted hand here. We could still get value from a lot of different hands. There's flush draws. You could have a 6, a deuce, even a straight draw. So I think a small bet here would work very well. That's what I decided to do, betting out a third the size of the pot for 25,000. And Shane is going to get a little bit sticky here with his deuce. He sticks in the call. River card now is the 9 of spades. It completes the front door flush draw. Not amazing to see, but we can't be scared of the monsters under the bed. We have to go for value here. Since we didn't get raised pre, we can eliminate a lot of his good jack X, like ace jack, king jack, queen jack. So we can still get value from a worse jack, like jack 7, jack 5, jack 3, and maybe a sticky pair, like a deuce or a 6. So I'm going to put out another small bet and try to get more value. I put out a bet of 45,000, and Shane snap calls me with the deuce. We show him the jack 8, and we're going to scoop a very important pot there, chipping up our stack and finding 3 streets of value. Let's go. Moving on to the next one. Once again, blind versus blind with Shane. I mentioned earlier we're not going to be folding a lot of hands, and 5-4 offsuit falls into the category of a limp. So that's what I do. I put in the extra 5, and he checks his option. The flop now comes queen 9-7 rainbow, and the action starts on me. I think checking or betting here is going to be totally fine. In the moment, I decide to check, and Shane checks back. Turn card now comes the jack of hearts. I think we could definitely start to do some betting. I think Shane would bet the flop with any queen or 9. Definitely possible he could have checked back a hand like 10-8. But we want to start applying pressure. We only have 5 high, so let's see if we can steal this one. I put out a bet half pot for 30,000. Shane's sitting with just 10 high, but an open-ended straight draw. He comes along, and now the river card is the 7 of spades. Sitting with absolutely nothing. Our best hand is on the board. I think that usually is a sign that you need to try and steal the pot. Go for a bluff. So that's what we're going to do here. I put out a bet of 60,000. Again, it's about half pot. And lucky for us, Shane missed his draw, sitting with 10 high. I don't think he's going to be that big of a hero. he mucks his cards, and we get one through with the 5 high. It's pretty crazy what just pure aggression will get you in poker. The blinds have gone up to 15,000, 30,000, and the stacks have gotten a lot shorter. Folds to us in the small blind. We have 10-6 suited, and Shane is sitting with 5 big blinds on the big blind. Easy shove here with the suited 10. So that's what I do, and Shane snaps us off with ace queen. We are behind, but we are still live. 32% equity. Can we find the suck out? The flop comes 9-8-8. We have some additional outs now. A 7 would give us a straight, and any 10 or 6 would give us the best hand. The turn card is the 4 of clubs. We do not improve, but the river card, can we bink it? The 3 of spades is not what we were looking for. And yet again, Shane is going to get a double, and we're going to have to keep battling. The variance gets higher when stacks get shorter because you basically just all in or fold here. Once again, it folds to me on the small blind, sitting with king 6 suited. Shane has 12 big blinds. It's a slam dunk shove, so that's what I do. But Shane again wakes up with a good hand, ace 10. He snaps us off. And now this is getting a little bit scary here. Getting in behind once again. Shane waking up with monsters in the big blind. And even worse, the flop is ace 10-9. We are basically drawing dead. Turn card 9 of spades will confirm that. And we are now in last place with 9 big blinds, 275,000 chips. At one point, we almost had $1 million. Very unfortunate for us that Shane keeps waking up with those big hands. But that's just tournament poker, and you have to deal with it. Shortly after that, we wake up with the big slick ace-king suited. We have about 9 big blinds. I think with this strong of a hand, I could sometimes just min-raise or even limp. But I haven't seen either player get too aggressive, so I think limping is a little bit too risky. I decide to just go all in. And Laura calls us on the big blind with ace 4 of hearts. We have that absolutely crushed. Can we find a double? There's still hope. You're never out of it in a tournament. Chip and a chair is what they say. So let's find a double up here. Can we hold? The flop is jack 10-8 with 2 hearts. That is a scary flop. We're now basically flipping. Any 4 or heart would give Laura the best hand. We need to hold here. The turn card is the 9 of hearts. We are drawing dead and out of this tournament. Out in third place for $1,838. So sick, man. We are on such a run, playing so good. 3 all-ins back to back to back, and we are out. That's just the variance of tournament poker. Shane ended up shipping the tournament. Congrats to him. It was a fun final table. Everybody played great. Pretty disappointing in a third place finish, but that's just how it goes. Appreciate you guys watching, and there's one video left from this Dallas trip. It's our last cash game video, and it is a banger. Do not miss it. Subscribe to the channel, guys. I will see you in the next one. See ya.